Paralyzed Millionaire's dark joke on begging girl leaves everyone in shock. What happens next? The sun hung low in the sky, casting an orange glow over the bustling street. A crowd had gathered outside luxurious storefronts, their whispers slicing through the air like a knife. Something strange was happening at the corner of 5th and Main. Eyes darted, hearts raced. There, amidst designer bags and high-end cars, stood $1 million statue of Victor Lang. This charmed man, once the envy of every Wall Street mogul, had been trapped in a wheelchair for years yet loomed larger than life. The scene drew a curious girl, no older than 16, wearing handmade shoes and clothes showing every stitch of her struggle. She sat on the pavement, clutching a faded cardboard sign, "Help for a Dream." She called out to passers-by, her voice a sweet melody tangled in desperation. But with each plea, the crowd grew louder, fueled by a mix of interest and cruelty. Suddenly, Victor was wheeled out of his sleek diamond-encrusted car, his expression both cold and calculating. The crowd gasped, a collective intake of breath, as if it were a movie moment frozen in time. They were captivated, yet horrified. "Look at the little beggar," he jeered, smirking as he pointed at her with a trinket held deftly between his fingers. Shock rippled through the crowd. They leaned in, eyes wide, lips parted, waiting for a punchline, but jaws dropped as Victor plucked $100 bill from his pocket and tossed it casually at her feet. Gasps filled the air. The girl froze. Her eyes flashed from hope to humiliation in a heartbeat. She crouched low, reaching for the bill just as Victor said, "You'd think with all that practice begging, you'd have enough creativity to come up with a better sign." Laughter erupted, drowning out her stunned silence. An officer nearby shook his head. "Sick joke," he muttered, but his voice was lost in the backlash of laughter and whispers circling like a disturbed hive. The girl's face turned pale. She swallowed hard, fighting back emotions. The lump in her throat threatened to choke her. Strangers around her glanced sideways, judging, whispering about her plight and his cruelty. They were taken in by the twisted spectacle unfolding, the rich man's twisted entertainment at the expense of a girl's dignity. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Victor lounged back as if he were on a throne, arrogance written across his face, relishing the chaos. The girl bent down slowly, her hands trembling as she picked up the money. How could anyone be so mean? The tension simmered, she could hear her heart pounding in her ears. People around her again whispered, now caught in a bizarre mix of awe and disgust. Was this a game to him? And then, just as abruptly as it began, the atmosphere shifted. The girl looked up, her eyes blazing with a fierce determination that silenced the laughter. She took a single step back, surveying the crowd. "You think this is funny?" she shouted. The crowd tensed. "What if I told you this isn't my only act?" The crowd hung on her words, shocked silence stealing the moment. It was a dare, a challenge. What could possibly come next? What lay behind those defiant eyes? Was she just a helpless girl, or was there more to her story than met the eye? The tension crackled in the fading light, and the air was thick with promise. What if she was just getting started? What if this was only the beginning? The girl's voice echoed, cutting through the hush like a rogue wave crashing against a still shore. Eyes flickered towards one another, questioning, wondering. Victor leaned forward, intrigued, a smirk fading into a look of cautious curiosity. She took another step back, hands balled into fists at her sides. "What if I showed you my true talent?" Her voice rose, confidence pouring into her words like fire igniting kindling. The air thickened with suspense. It was as if the crowd held its breath, unsure if they were witnessing a revelation or a complete breakdown. Curiosity swelled, drawing them closer. Would she break down in tears, or was there something more an edge to her that could turn the tables? Victor rolled his eyes, but the extravagance of his demeanor was faltering just slightly. He mocked her under his breath, true talent. What a joke. Yet, a flicker of uncertainty crossed his face. The crowd stood poised, as though waiting for a movie-esque climax. Let me show you. She shouted, pulling something from her pocket. The crowd gasped. It glinted in the golden light, a small, silver coin. The girl lifted it high like a trophy, standing taller, casting aside her earlier reservations. This isn't just a coin, but a reminder. Every coin I've ever earned. Victor looked exasperated, but the crowd leaned in, intrigued. Every coin. A voice from the back called, filled with skepticism. Yes. She exclaimed, her voice rising over the growing murmurs. I've saved every cent, not just for myself but for others like me. Her eyes scanned the crowd, locking onto faces that showed doubt. You all laugh, but every coin represents someone's story. I'll show you what I mean. Suddenly, she began to juggle the coin, spinning it between her fingers, her movements graceful and fluid. Gasps turned to applause as the crowd's amusement began to shift. With every flick of her wrist, she drew their eyes closer, reclaiming their attention. The laughter turned from ridicule to astonishment, the harsh ridicule morphing into reluctant admiration. What's your name? Shouted someone from the back. Lucy. She responded quickly, her cheeks flush with exhilaration. And I'm not just some common beggar. I'm someone with dreams. What dreams? Victor sneered but was quickly drowned out by roars of approval and shouts of curiosity. Lucy felt the swell of power radiating from her performance, the energy from the crowd combining like an electric current, igniting something fierce in her spirit. I dream of creating a place where people like me can find refuge, can hone their crafts, an art center, she shared, her words thick with passion. One day, I want to turn these coins into a real legacy. I want to show the world that we have voices. Gasps mingled with murmurs of incredible rippling through the crowd. Even the officer, who had been observing with disdain, lifted an eyebrow, interest piqued. Victor shifted uncomfortably in his chair, the crown of casual superiority crumbling as he felt the spectators rallying behind Lucy. Suddenly, a young boy stepped forward from the crowd, holding a crumpled dollar bill in his trembling hand. I want to help. He cried, pushing his way through the astonished onlookers. This is for you, Lucy. He reached out, eyes wide with hope. As the boy offered the bill, Lucy's heart raced. She didn't want to seem ungrateful or come off as insincere. With the spotlight upon her, she hesitated. This was her moment, but was she ready? What if I take this, and with it, the wrong path? She thought. What happens if I fail in front of everyone? The crowd waited, breath caught in collective anxiety. The tension soared. What would Lucy choose in this pivotal moment that could change everything? Would she grasp the opportunity, or hold back, wary of where it might lead? The silence was deafening. In that charged pause, a new question emerged about the deeper motives lurking behind Victor's cruel joke. What had driven this millionaire to mock her? And would Lucy's courage spark a revolution among the crowd, or would it invite a darker response from Victor? The silence stretched, thickening like fog. Eyes stayed glued to Lucy, waiting, hanging on her every move. The boy's hopeful gaze burned into her, lighting a fire deep within her heart. Could she do it? Could she leap into the unknown and take the support offered? With trembling hands, Lucy reached forward, grabbing the dollar bill. The crowd erupted into cheers, a torrent of approval washing over her. She felt an electric current in her veins, pumping confidence back into her. But Victor's expression was a storm brewing. His smile twisted into something darker. You think this is a game? He called out, rising from his seat where he had been comfortably perched. You think they really care about you? You're just a performance to them, a circus act. The crowd faltered, murmurs of doubt surfacing again, like a chill wind sweeping through a once warm day. Lucy's heart sank, but she clutched the crumpled bill tighter, her defiance sparking within her like kindling ready to catch fire. I'm not just a performance. I'm real. Lucy shot back, voice steady, battling the creeping weight of Victor's words. Every coin, every bill each represents hope, a life struggling to thrive. Theatrics. Victor sneered, his voice dripping with mockery. You think a few hearts won turn stone cold once they realize who you truly are? An anguished gasp lifted from the crowd. Some shifted uncomfortably, their newfound support wavering. Uneasy glances exchanged, as a wave of doubt rippled through the gathered spectators. Lucy felt their gaze change, the warmth pulling away like a curtain closing shut. Listen. She shouted, desperation creeping into her voice. I need this. We need this. Together you should be begging. Not dreaming. Victor spat, eyes glinting with malicious amusement. What makes you think anyone cares about your dreams? Enough. A voice boomed from the back. It was the officer, stepping forward, his authority cutting through the tension like a knife. Everyone has the right to dream, no matter where they come from. Victor, this is not your show. The officer's words rallied the onlookers, boiling back the doubts. Lucy's heart soared as encouragement surged. Yes. We matter. Our voices matter. She cried, the honesty in her tone igniting something primal in the crowd. The boy with the dollar bill smiled wider, and others began to step forward, reaching into pockets, pulling out coins, crumpled bills. The atmosphere shifted, turning electric as supporters emerged from the shadows, their faith in Lucy blooming. Yet, Victor's sneer stood firm, defiance seeping into his demeanor. You think this will make a difference? This little stunt will end in embarrassment, and when it does, who will be left to catch you? That comment hit like ice water. Lucy stiffened, imagining the laughable collapse of her dreams. But she couldn't let that fear smother her. The crowd's shouts grew louder, drowning out Victor's taunts. Lucy! Show him! Someone yelled, igniting an inferno of resolve. And with that, her eyes blazed. I won't let anyone take this from us. She shouted, spinning the dollar between her fingers like she had done with the coin. The crowd echoed her bravery, chanting her name, a rising tide of support washing over them. But the glint in Victor's eye sharp as a blade warned her that this dance was far from over. As Lucy reveled in the moment, a sudden chill settled in her gut. What if everything crumbled before her? What scheme was Victor hatching? Then she noticed a flicker behind him, a shadow moving discreetly among the crowd. Someone with other plans. Panic surged. What if Victor wasn't the only threat she faced tonight? Lucy! A new voice in the crowd called. What about Victor? The question rang out, echoing in her mind. The dance was shifting. What would she do when Victor unleashed whatever plan he had sketched in the dim corners of his mind? And did she have the strength to face it? A deafening roar filled the air. The cheers swelled, but Lucy felt the ground shift beneath her feet. The flicker she'd seen before morphed into something more palpable, a human figure darting toward the crowd, a flash of intent crackling like static electricity. Fear twisted in her chest as she squinted into the chaos. Victor's eyes danced with glee, like a cat watching its prey teeter on the edge of a cliff. What's wrong, Lucy? He taunted, his voice laced with venom. Scared of the truth? Let us see what happens when a little pressure is applied. The crowd shifted again, tension palpable as whispers spread like wildfire. Lucy's pulse thundered in her ears. What truth? She demanded, heart racing. What are you talking about? He stepped closer, an unsettling calm cloaking his figure. You've been playing the martyr for too long. Let us unravel this little charade of your hope. Let us see what lies beneath those dreams. Before she could respond, the shadow emerged, fully a woman with wild hair and frantic eyes, her face drenched in sweat. "Lucy! You have to be careful!" she cried out, shivering as if a sudden chill had swept over her. "Victor's up to something big." "Who are you?" Lucy stammered, desperate for her to continue. "I'm May. I've been here, watching. I know what Victor has planned and it isn't good." May's voice was shaky, her gaze darting back to Victor, who watched with unabashed excitement. "Go on, May," Lucy urged, gripping the edge of the makeshift stage, feeling the rough wood press against her palms. "What does he want?" "Victor's been using this gathering to manipulate people to control them," May whispered urgently. "He's drawn more than just cheers and coins. He's after something deeply personal, something that could destroy you." The realization sent a cold wave through Lucy. Her confidence faltered as knowledge of unseen stakes settled in her bones. What does he want?" she breathed, her heart racing. The crowd had grown restless, caught in the web of rising uncertainty. Victor's laughter echoed as he relished their confusion, the laughter of someone who holds the knife. "Oh May, don't fear," he sang, "there's always a need for a villain in every story, isn't there? And I've only just begun." From the corner of her eye, Lucy saw hands clenched into fists. Shouts erupted, the crowd was becoming a tide of anger and fear. "Stop him! Make him leave!" they yelled, while Victor reveled in their chaos. "Lucy!" May cried, snapping Lucy from her thoughts. "You have to draw on their support. Make them see the truth. If we can expose him." Drawing in a deep breath, Lucy stepped forward, steadying herself. "Everyone! Listen!" she shouted over the din, her voice rising like a phoenix from the ashes. "This is our moment. Fear can't win. We must stand together against manipulation. Against Victor." But doubt still clung to the crowd. Was it enough? What if Victor had a darker agenda lurking in the shadows, waiting to strike? "Do you really think you can rally them?" Victor hissed, a predator cornering its prey. "You're a fragile dreamer in a world of predators. You think they care?" Suddenly, a sudden crash erupted from the side of the stage, drawing every eye. An object whirled through the air, hitting the ground with a sickening thud. Lucy's heart stopped. What was that? Someone yelled, the panic swelling anew. As silence fell like a heavy curtain, Lucy's heart raced. Had Victor truly gone so far as to threaten them all? Or was this just another twist in his warped game? The atmosphere thickened with tension, a new fear creeping in. In that moment, Lucy knew it wasn't just her battle anymore. She had to unearth Victor's secrets, but how? And what would this new turn of events reveal? What unexpected truth lay beneath the surface, waiting to fracture everything they had built together? The crowd stood frozen, breaths caught in throats, tension thick in the air like a summer storm brewing. The object that had crashed to the ground lay just out of view, obscured by confusion and fear. Lucy's chest tightened. She felt the weight of 1,000 eyes upon her, and the silence pressed against her skull. Victor, grinning like a viper, reveled in the chaos he de-orchestrated. "Look at them, Lucy!" he shouted, arms wide, basking in their panic. "Just a little push, and they're already on the edge. They don't believe you. But perhaps they believe their eyes." With a swift motion, he gestured toward the fallen object. Terrified gasps echoed among the crowd as they parted, revealing what had crashed, a crumpled flyer, littered with images and dark promises. "See?" Victor sneered, reveling in his malevolence. "The truth about your so-called dreams." Lucy squinted, her heart racing as she tried to make sense of it. The flyer bore a chilling slogan, "For a better world, a stronger leader," branded with an image of Victor himself, casting a long shadow over the city. Fear clutched at her stomach. "What are you doing?" she shouted, anger boiling over. "Exposing the fragility of your hope." Victor's voice soared, the thrill of power coursing through him. These people crave control. They don't want to dream, they want a ruler. Someone to tell them what to do. Lucy's gaze flickered back to the crowd. Faces twisted in confusion, some glancing between her and Victor as if gauging whom to trust. May's eyes were wide, desperate. You have to fight back, Lucy. Taking a deep breath, Lucy felt the fire igniting within. You're wrong, Victor. She shouted, planting her feet firmly. People want to believe in something more than just fear. They want to be part of something real. But Victor just laughed, a sound that skittered across the ground like broken glass. And how will you prove that? Words. Feelings. That's all weak-minded trickery. He stepped closer, eyes glinting with malevolence. We're not in a fairy tale, Lucy. This is a game of power. I'm the king, and you're nothing but a pawn. In that moment, something shifted within Lucy. She reminded herself of the people who had gathered their trust in her, their hopes, and their desire for change. It was more than just her fight, it was theirs too. No, Victor. She screamed, the strength of her voice ringing across the gathering. You've underestimated us. We won't be manipulated anymore. The crowd stirred, uncertainty making way for clarity as anger boiled beneath the surface. Lucy took a step forward and raised her hand, signaling the people to calm down. You've all felt it. She encouraged, her voice steadying. The lies, the fear enough. Together, we're strong. Victor, his smile faltering for the first time, took a step back. What are you playing at? As her words surged through the audience, Lucy felt a flicker of hope ignite amongst them. If we stand together against this darkness, we can change everything. Suddenly, applause erupted. It grew, a wave rising from the people, drowning out Victor's furious protests. Lucy's heart soared until a sudden realization struck her like a fist. What if Victor wasn't the only force working against her? A flurry of movement caught her eye, a figure darting toward the stage, tension crackling in the air. The crowd sensed it too, their cheers fading abruptly. Fear rose again, vines of uncertainty wrapping tightly around Lucy's heart. Lucy! May shouted, eyes wide. Look out! But before she could turn, the figure emerged, face obscured by shadows. They pulled a glinting object from their coat, a knife. As fear exploded inside her, Lucy braced herself. In an instant, she realized this was not just a battle against Victor. Something deeper lurked in the shadows. Who was this new threat, and what would they do next? Would fear paralyze them again, or have they finally awakened the resolve to fight back? The figure lunged, knife glinting like a serpent's fang under the fading light. A gasp rippled through the crowd, panic swelling. Lucy's heart raced, muscles tensed, ready to react as she leaped instinctively to the side. The blade sliced through the air where she had just stood, and the crowd erupted into chaos. Shouts and screams filled the square, a chorus of fear that echoed against the walls of the old building surrounding them. Get back! May yelled, her voice cutting through the turmoil. She was pushing people away, trying to clear a path. But amid the frenzy, Lucy felt her feet rooted in place, the adrenaline coursing through her but her mind racing in confusion. This wasn't Victor, he had played his hand. This was a new, unpredictable threat. The attacker pivoted, eyes narrowing on Lucy. There was something familiar about that stance, something she couldn't quite place. A hint of recognition tugged at her memory, overshadowed by sheer terror. Who are you? Lucy demanded, forcing words through clenched teeth. Just someone here to finish what you started, the figure replied, voice low and mocking. Fury ignited in Lucy's chest. I didn't start anything but hope. The attacker advanced again, the knife glinting ominously. Desperation clawed at Lucy, needing to protect not just herself but everyone who had gathered behind her. Stop! She shouted, her voice trembling but firm. You think violence will solve anything? Your fear won't bring you strength, it will only lead to more pain. The figure hesitated for a heartbeat, confusion flashing in their eyes. For a moment, Lucy could see the vulnerability beneath the anger. Was that a flicker of doubt? No time to dwell. She took a step forward. Join us instead. This isn't the answer. We can build something better together. The knife dropped slightly, hands shaking as if the weight of their choice bore down on them. But in that very moment, Victor's laughter rang out across the chaos, cutting through her words. Look at this charade, Lucy. You think you can save everyone with some beautiful speech? This is a fight for power, and you're losing. As the crowd wavered, torn between the two threats unfolding, Lucy felt a spark of hope flickering. Those scrambling for safety began to look back, a few stood firm, emboldened by her stance. The bond they had shared was palpable, a silent unification of purpose igniting in their eyes. Stay with me, she implored, turning her gaze to the crowd. We are stronger together. We will not cower. But the knife wielder suddenly regained resolve. A frantic lunge aimed straight at Lucy, and her heart dropped. No! May screamed, rushing forward, throwing herself between them. Time slowed, the world narrowing to that one desperate moment. The blade glimmered dangerously close, and Lucy's breath hitched in her throat. May! A collective gasp resonated, faces stricken with horror. Just as the scream escaped her lips, May's instinctive shove sent the knife veering off to the side, but the attacker stumbled too, colliding with the stage's edge. A sickening thud echoed, then silence as they fell to the ground, energy draining from the moment. Lucy rushed to May's side, panic clawing at her chest. Are you okay? But another movement caught her eye. Victor, seizing the opportunity amid the confusion, had slipped back, melting into the shadows, a sinister grin still plastered on his face. The crowd began to recover, uncertainty mixed with fear. They looked to Lucy, still crouched over May, whose eyes were wide, breaths coming in shallow gasps. Had she lost the chance to unite them against Victor? And as the weight of that thought settled around her, Lucy realized something crucial: Victor's game was far from over. The shadows were deeper than she had anticipated, and the blade wasn't the only weapon they had to fear. What do we do now? May whispered, looking up at her, determination flickering amidst the uncertainty. Lucy's heart pounded, knowing they were teetering on the brink. The real struggle was only just beginning. A chill crept through the remnants of the crowd. And Lucy took a deep breath, setting her jaw. We find Victor, and we expose everything. But the shadows stretched ominously behind her, hinting at other unseen threats lurking just out of view. What other dangers lay in the dark? And would they have the strength to confront them all? The air was thick with tension as Lucy knelt beside May, her heart racing. She felt the tremors of a crowd sinking with her own anxiety, fear rippling like waves through the gathered mass. All eyes were on her, waiting, hoping. May, stay with me, she urged, gripping her friend's shoulders. We'll get through this. The knife wielder lay motionless on the ground, a stark reminder of how quickly things could unravel. The silence was heavy, almost suffocating, broken only by hushed whispers that ran through the spectators. Lucy caught snippets, fragments of shared concern. Is she hurt? What happened? A figure at the edge of the crowd was moving, trying to rally support. Lucy recognized one of the community leaders, Derek, his face painted with urgency. We need to regroup. Strength in numbers. But his voice melted under the weight of uncertainty. People shifted restlessly as fear loomed large. They were supposed to be united, but Victor had sown distrust, leaving seeds of doubt in even the strongest hearts. Listen. Lucy stood up, her voice commanding attention. This was meant to break us, to fill us with fear. But we're still here. United. Some faces turned toward her, confusion mingling with admiration. A flicker of hope ignited within her, but it was fragile, like a candle flickering in the wind. And then, just as Lucy thought she could bridge the gap, a woman in the back screamed, pointing into the shadows. "He is here." Chaos erupted again, and Lucy's heart sank. Victor slipped through the throngs of people like a phantom. His laughter echoed, menacing and cruel, slicing through what little resolve remained. "Are you not entertained?" he taunted, stepping forward with an arrogance that made anger pulse through Lucy. "Look at your band of lost souls." "Shut up!" May shouted, pushing herself upright with a fierce determination. Pain flickered across her face, yet she moved, steadied by grit. "You think you're so clever, Victor. But your games won't work on us." Victor rolled his eyes casually, but there was an edge there, a hint of irritation. "You poor, naive girl," he sneered, taking a step closer. "You think your little speeches can save you? This isn't a fairy tale." With every syllable, the crowd pulsed with anxiety. Lucy could see the glazed glares of dismay, men and women weighing their choices. Some looked ready to flee, their faith crumbling. Others clenched their fists, preparing for a fight. "Stay with us," Lucy shouted again, her voice climbing above the rising tide of fear. "Together, we can take him down." But Victor stepped back now, revealing a sly grin that twisted her stomach. "Oh, this is just the beginning, my dear. You think it's about me? No, it's about the truth. And the truth will be unveiled in ways you cannot imagine." The energy shifted. His words dripped with venom, stirring something deep within the crowd. Hesitation morphed into fury, uncertainty into action. A rush of voices rose against Victor's ominous presence. But would that fury be enough? And then, from behind the stage, a figure emerged, one Lucy had least expected, a companion from the past. Her breath caught. No. It can't be. There she stood, Elena, a face from years ago, a friend lost in the fallout. The crowd quieted, confusion swirling, casting glances between Lucy and the newcomer. Elena stepped forward, eyes sharp. "This time, it's our turn to write the story." Lucy's heart raced. Could Elena hold the key to defeating Victor? Panic and relief wrestled in her chest, but one thought remained: Victor's game was about to escalate, and they were running out of time. What rapid turns of fate are coming? Lucy pondered, her mind racing with the implications. What dark secrets could Elena reveal? The stage was now set, but the stakes were higher than ever. Elena's presence electrified the atmosphere, and Lucy's heart thudded in her chest. The crowd was caught in the tension between fear and a flickering sense of hope. It was palpable, transforming the air around them. "What are you doing here?" Lucy asked, her voice steady despite the storm inside her. She could see the older scars on Elena's face, remnants of past battles. For a moment, they locked eyes, a shared memory pulsing between them, a bond twisted by betrayal. "The real question is, what took you so long?" Elena's lips curled into a taut smile, defiance blooming in her voice. "I've been fighting shadows for too long. It's time we brought the light back." Victor scoffed, breaking the mounting intensity. "How quaint. More players in my little game. It just makes it all that much more delicious." His eyes gleamed with malice, a predator enjoying the scent of blood. Lucy's surroundings dimmed like the calm before the storm. She knew Victor was not just dangerous, he was lethal. "Elena, do you have a plan?" she asked, urgency escaping with every breath. Elena nodded slowly, but hesitation flickered across her expression. "If we want to confront Victor and reclaim what he's taken, we need allies and resources. In this chaos, we can't show any weakness." The crowd, vibrant moments ago, was now shifting like sand under their feet. People whispered among themselves, grappling with who they could trust and whether to back Lucy or flee from Victor's shadow. The mounting fear smothered the unity they once felt. Lucy raised her voice again, this time steady, cutting through the whispers. "We've all lost something. But we can gain back our strength by standing together." Yes, we're scared, but fear can fuel our fight. Don't let him twist our hearts against one another. A voice piped up from the crowd. But what if there's more to this? It was Derek, the community leader, anguish coloring his words. What if we can't truly trust anyone? What if enough? Victor bellowed, slicing through Derek's doubts. Trust? There is no trust in these games I play. Just the pleasure of watching you squirm. With that, his hands glowed with dark energy, radiating a pulse that sent shivers up Lucy's spine. Flickers of light crackled in the air as he ignited the atmosphere with dark magic, physically manifesting their fears into a rainstorm of chaos. Bright sparks shot outwards, colliding with the earth like fireworks, igniting screams from the frightened crowd. Lucy instinctively stepped back, instinctively drawing May closer to her. Pain pulsed through May's eyes, but she stood firm beside her. We can't let him win. We need to act now. Elena spoke, her voice rising above the pandemonium. Lucy, if we want a fighting chance, we need to draw him away from the crowd, lure him somewhere we can work together. Lucy's heartbeat raced. But how? I know a place, Elena replied, determination illuminating her. Follow me, but we must suddenly. Victor's laughter crushed the moment. Run. Oh, how adorable. No one escapes the truth of their own desires, especially when buried under layers of regret and deceit. The ground trembled, and Lucy felt an urgency in the air, a primal fear urging her into action. We have to move. Now. She commanded, unsure how long they could hold that darkness at bay. With the crowd's gaze flickering between hesitation and burgeoning courage, Lucy turned back to May, urgency bubbling into her voice. Can you keep moving? We're leaving together. And with that, they dashed toward the edge of the crowd, leaving behind the shadows. But as they ran, Lucy glanced back and in that brief moment, caught sight of Victor's twisted grin following them, fueled by anticipation. The stakes had risen, and the truth was more elusive than ever. Would they be able to outsmart Victor, or would they fall victim to his game? The shadows thickened around them, and time was dwindling. Where would it lead them next? The air was thick, it stung with tension as Lucy and May pushed through the crowd, desperate and determined. Each step felt like wading through molasses, the weight of Victor's presence towering behind them. They reached the edge of the chaos, where the shadows felt less oppressive, but danger was still lurking below the surface. Where now? Lucy breathed, looking into Elena's fierce eyes, searching for direction. Just ahead, Elena pointed, her voice steady, though a flicker of uncertainty lingered in her gaze. There's an old warehouse. It's unguarded, and it's the only chance we have to regroup and strategize. The sound of frantic footsteps echoed behind them, drawing closer with every heartbeat. Fear clawed at Lucy's insides, a visceral reminder of the stakes. Go. She urged, taking the lead, May closely trailing behind. Each step took them further from the crowd, but the promise of safety felt like a distant memory. In the dim light of the warehouse entrance, they halted, gasping for breath. Dust motes danced in the shafts of sunlight filtering through cracked windows. The shadows felt more defined here, as if they were alive, creeping into the corners of the building, waiting for a chance to pounce. Do you think he followed us? May asked, her voice trembling. Elena shook her head, but the flicker of doubt in her eyes belied her words. He is crafty. We need to secure this place. Lucy stepped farther into the warehouse, scanning the space. Old crates lined the walls, and piles of discarded debris cluttered the floor. The walls whispered secrets of abandonment, holding the promise of concealment. We should barricade the entrance, Elena suggested, moving towards a stack of abandoned furniture. Lucy joined in, her hands trembling slightly as they pushed a heavy table against the door. There was a moment of silence, and then May felt compelled to voice what they were all thinking. What if we can't hold him off? What if this is all just a trap? His game, Lucy replied, it's built on fear. We won't let that stop us. She met May's wide-eyed stare, pouring every ounce of her belief into those words. once they felt secure, the trio collapsed onto the splintered wooden floor, catching their breath. The weight of their reality pressed heavily on them, but it was Lena who broke the silence, her expression serious. "We need to find out more about Victor. He is powerful, that's undeniable, but understanding his weaknesses is key if we want to turn the tide." "Yeah, but how do we find that out?" May's words came out softly, but the fear beneath them rattled even Lucy. Elena ran a hand through her disheveled hair, deep in thought. "We've all been affected by him. There must be records, connections we can tap into, people willing to help if we reach out." The moment stretched on, each girl wrapped in her own thoughts, but Lucy's heart raced. "We should split up. You and May can check the old library, the one near the park. It used to hold a lot of history about, well, everything." "And where will you be?" Elena asked. "I'll look through the town's archives. Surely someone has had the same suspicion about Victor. I can't just sit here waiting." "Be careful, Lucy," May warned, concern etched on her face. "I will." Lucy stood, a sense of purpose empowering her stride. They needed a plan, they needed knowledge. As each girl prepared to embark on their daunting tasks, a sound froze them all, distant echoes of footsteps, faint yet unmistakable. Panic surged in Lucy's chest as they turned to face the door, every nerve in her body thrumming with dread. Victor's voice reverberated through the air, playful yet menacing. "Did you think you could escape me?" How utterly entertaining. Lucy's heart raced. There was no time left. The game had only just begun, and they were still hopelessly outmatched. The air grew heavier still, shadows creeping closer as Lucy whispered, "We need to move now." But where could they run when Victor had already played his cards? And what dark secrets would they unearth in their desperate race against time? The urgency shot through Lucy like a current. They couldn't let Victor catch them. They had to find a way out. She turned toward May and Elena, their expressions a mix of determination and fear. "Stay low, and follow my lead." They swiftly moved toward a dimly lit back exit, glancing nervously over their shoulders. Victor's voice sliced through the air again, mocking their every step. "Oh, the little mice think they can play hide and seek with the cat. How precious." Lucy felt a wave of fury rise within her. This wasn't just about her anymore, that twisted millionaire was a threat to everyone who dared to dream. The door creaked ominously as they pushed it open. Outside, the alley was dark, shadows melding with the deepening night. It was a labyrinth of uncertainty, but the weight on her chest urged her forward. "Where do we go now?" May whispered, her voice tinged with anxiety. "There's South and Old Park nearby," Lucy replied, taking a deep breath to steady herself. "It was a refuge when times got tough, a place where we can strategize." As they scurried out into the night, Lucy's mind raced. Each sprinting step was fueled by the loud drumming of her heart. They dashed into the park, cloaked in darkness, the faint moonlight glimmering on the leaves overhead. Shadows danced across their path. They needed to regroup and come up with a plan. Once they reached a clearing, they slowed, trying to catch their breath. "Okay, let us think," Elena said, her voice low but resolute. They huddled together, forming a tight circle. "Victor thrives on chaos, but we can't let him manipulate the narrative any longer. We need to rally our community. Show them strength and solidarity." "Yes." May chimed in, her eyes brightening. "People need to see we're not afraid. We won't let him dictate our lives." But Lucy felt the weight of the world upon her. What if he's already taken control of their minds? What if they can't see what he really is? Before they could delve deeper, Lucy's phone buzzed in her pocket, a startling reminder of the world still spinning outside their secluded sanctuary. She dug it out and gasped at the screen, a message alert from Derek. "Everyone is scared. Rumors are spreading that you're to blame for this mess. People are losing hope." He wrote in frantic texts. "We need your leadership. Come to the town hall. It's about to get out of hand." Panic surged anew. They think I'm the problem. What can we do? She said, nerves winding tighter. Elena's jaw clenched. We need proof. Evidence of Victor's true intentions. If people see he's the real villain and not you, then they'll rally to your side. Lucy brushed away her fears. She met May's steady gaze and nodded. All right, we'll gather evidence. But we have to be quick. Let us head to the archives. They rose to their feet, adrenaline pumping through them. There wasn't a moment to waste. As they moved back toward the town, Lucy felt a shift in the air. Something was coming, something darker. She could almost hear Victor's laughter curling around her, echoing in the back of her mind like a ghostly chant. And then they heard it, a commotion, voices raised in anger, or was it fear? The honking of car horns sounded off, filled with chaos. It's him! Lucy shouted, her heart racing at the depth of her own realization. He's created this uproar to drown us out. We need to get this information before we're crushed under the overwhelming doubts he's planted, Elena said, her focused daggers aimed straight ahead. They dashed toward the town hall, the flickering streetlights illuminating their path. But as they neared the building, they froze. A crowd, assembled at the entrance, was shouting Victor's name like a twisted mantra. An uneasy dance between darkness and light hung in the night. We can't let fear overpower hope, Lucy murmured, gathering her resolve as they stepped closer to the gathering mob. With nothing but her heart racing and the fury bubbling within her, she stepped forward and called out to the crowd. Listen. Listen to me. But the crowd continued to roar, their anger swelling like a tidal wave. Victor's lies have seeped into our minds, but we're better than this. We're stronger united. We are not defined by his antics. Lucy spoke with conviction, but the green-eyed monster of doubt began creeping back into the crowd. It's Lucy, someone shouted, ripping through the thick noise. She's here to deceive us. No. May yelled, stepping next to her. You don't understand. We're fighting for our freedom. He's the real enemy. No sooner had the words left May's mouth than the crowd surged forward, drawn into the tumult. Lucy felt a tremor in her knees. Had they lost them completely? Then, from the chaos, a flashlight beam swept across them, catching a familiar face. Derek. He fought through the crowd, enough of an anchor to ground Lucy. We need the proof, Lucy. He shouted, voice rising above the screaming masses. Show them. With a deep breath, Lucy recalled her decision in the park. She stood taller than she ever had, the weight of her dreams anchoring her feet. Gather your strength. She implored. This is not the time to be divided. We must expose Victor for who he truly is. There was a moment of hesitance, the crowd swaying, confused. But she pressed on, her heart hammering in her chest, felt in every racing heartbeat. We're not here to perpetuate fear. We're about to overcome it. And suddenly, their voices surged. With that, May flung open the archives, sending dust waltzing into the air like breaking glass, presenting the secrets hidden beneath. It wasn't Victor's truth that would be revealed, it was their OWN.AS. The crowd sparked back to life. Lucy took a step forward, hand raised. Together, let us reclaim what's ours. No more games. Only truth. The wave of emotion erupted, powerful and raw, igniting something primal in everyone present. They knew then, deep down, they were no longer mere players caught in Victor's twisted game, and out there, in the shadows of that flickering streetlight, Victor's laughter fell dead, drowned out by the chorus of reclaimers ready for their stand. It was time to face him, and together, they'd rewrite their story. The sun began to rise, painting the city in gold and light, a dawning of hope, a promise that neither dreams nor reality had to yield to darkness ever again. With hearts pounding together in unison, they charged headfirst into the fray, determined to dismantle the web of deceit and reveal the light within their community. This was it. The turning point. They needed a chance for something greater than themselves, and just as they marched toward the center of everything that bound them, Lucy whispered just loud enough for only herself to hear, "We're coming for you, Victor. Time to bring the fight home, now's your chance." If you felt this story resonate with you, you need to subscribe now. Don't let another moment pass without being part of our amazing community. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Flood the comments section with your thoughts. What do you think is coming next for Lucy and her friends? Are you hoping for a showdown? And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need this uplifting conclusion in their lives.